Hi, I'm Stefan, the BMW DIY guy, and I'm at BimTech here in Linwood, Washington today because we're going to be installing Mosselman Turbo Systems big turbos into my M2C, and I want to show you the entire process. All right, y'all, so let's talk about this project a little bit. This is not going to be a DIY. This is going to be a process review because this is really a big project. Now, it is possible, something you could potentially do yourself with all the right tools and the time and the patience. And if you check out Brian of Kies Motorsports, he actually has a piece-by-piece, like 3-part series on how to replace your turbos on an S55. We're not going to do that today. I'm going to rely on the professionals of Ivan and Junior here at BimTech to actually do the work, and I want to show you what the entire process is like. Now, if the name BimTech sounds familiar, it should be. These are the professionals and the absolute studs that did my crank hub upgrade about a year ago as I was prepping for big power and the great tune from Kerry Jordan and big turbos like we're installing today. Now, the Mosselman turbos are absolutely fantastic. They are their brand new release for the S55, and they really are a step up. Now, there are a lot of great big turbos you can put out there for the BMW S55 motor, but I really wanted to go with Mosselman. They are a fantastic product. I can't wait to have these running. And in coordination with Kies Motorsports, here we are today for the install. So as we walk through this whole process, and let me show you a little bit of the shop as well, you can see their brand new G80, which has an amazing amount of work in it. And this is actually a big upgrade for their shop as well. They are doing so great, and if you have a chance to support these guys, definitely do it. But I'm going to walk you time-lapse through the entire install. We'll show you some key points along the way, but I want to show you what it takes to do an install like this if you get turbos from Mosselman and Kies Motorsports, which I highly recommend. All right, let's jump into it.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So the first turbo is out. We're going to compare the two here in just a second. But as you can see, we're looking at the side of the motor here. You can still see the front turbo is still in, and you can see all the way up where the intakes there connect to the engine itself. So huge difference. You can see why we have to do all this extra work. The motor mount is out, the steering rack is out, the downpipes are out to give you space to be able to do all this work very, very easily. Also, as you've seen through the video so far, all of our fluids are out as well to cut down on the mess as we actually go through this. So one more turbo to go, but it's coming along really, really well. So let's jump over and actually take a look at the turbos side by side. All right, guys, so we've got the factory turbo off and the Mosselman here on the left. Look at the difference between these two. Look how much throttle down the intake on the factory one is by comparison. So just the size of the pipe of the air alone going in makes a huge difference. And you can see also with the turbine blades, you can see the difference. So pretty shallow angle, much smaller, much shallow angle. Look here, look how much bigger they are in diameter, plus the angle of the blades as well. So Ivan here at BimTech often says that, you know, a big turbos actually ultimately can be better for your motor, because instead of taking your factory turbo and cranking it up way too high, you have a bigger turbo pushing more air at potentially lower pressure than you would with the factory one to get the same horsepower. Really makes a huge difference. So as we go through this process, we're going to keep taking it out. We've got one of the two out so far. As you look at the difference between the two, just tremendous difference between these. And you can also see here with the intakes as well. Let me grab these really quick, and you'll see the difference in the intakes. So this is the factory on this side. See how much smaller it is, and it necks down by comparison to the new one. So significant difference throughout, a lot more horsepower. Let's jump back into the removal, and then we're going to get into the install. turbos to you. The first one is in, the front turbo is in. You can see tucked all the way up in there. Man, they're just doing great work. They're tearing through this. Man, I am so stoked to have this in. And the difference is, you can see the back wheel there here in the turbo at this point. The difference is just so huge. I cannot wait till the car's up and running. And then once we get the tune completely dialed in, it's gonna be a whole nother animal. But man, just simply cannot wait. Back turbo's going in next, all the oil feeds, everything else. And I'll keep documenting everything as we go along on the reinstall. Saw the view from underneath. Let's take a look here from the top before it all gets obscured with the airbox and everything else that's going to be going in. You can still see the orange cap there in the top. You always want to keep those in as much as you can. Last thing you want to have happen is have something fall into your turbos, which is now with the intake pipes on as well, as you can see, that helps take care of that. But really kind of the last good view of the turbos before the rest of it all gets buttoned up. But super excited about this. It's going really, really well, and these are going to be fantastic. Guys, so everything is done on the physical side of the house. Now we need to flash it with the new tune. I have a custom baseline tune from Kerry Jordan, which is going to combine both my 92 octane here in Washington plus E85 and a flex fuel tune, because if you haven't checked out my BootMod 3 flex fuel sensor that I've got back on my low pressure pump, make sure to check that out. I wanted to take advantage of that, not only with the big turbos, but if I do get a chance to run E85 and other opportunities during the summer if I take it to the track. So we're gonna flash that. I'll walk you through just the beginning of that process. It's super simple, but we're gonna flash it with the tune, then we're gonna restart, then we're pretty much good to go. All right, y'all, so I'm all flashed. It's all good to go. It went very, very quickly. When you are flashing a tune like you've done before and you've unlocked your ECU, it goes very, very quickly, which is nice. Plus that Kies Motorsports adapter is very, very fast, and faster than even the physical cable I had before. So it's quick off your phone. I downloaded the tune, I flashed it, it's totally good to go. Car's running perfectly. The install went absolutely great. So now I want to make sure to give it a couple hundred miles, break it in a little bit, make sure that it's good to go for when I get around to actually do the remote tuning for all of the maps when I'm on the dyno. And actually I'm talking to Kerry Jordan, who's in Florida. I'm in Washington. It's one of the cool things about the service is that you can do it remotely like that, just as if I was at his facility or if I was local to him. So all in all, this has been fantastic. Let me get wrapped up and we'll be all done. All right, so I'm all done and wrapped up here. Man, I couldn't be more stoked. I haven't had a chance to drive my car yet. It's just down off the rack and we just flashed it. It's all great and good to go. But hey, you know, out of sheer tribute, I had to make sure to have that Bimtech G80 in the background. The car is probably the most beautiful G80 I've ever seen. I love the color, I love the interior. So, you know, we had to share the limelight here on both sides. Hey, I cannot give a bigger shout out to BimtechPNW. They've done such a fantastic job. And if you're here in the Pacific Northwest, there is no one else I would take my car to do work like this. You know, the guys here at the shop are just absolutely amazing. They're professional, they're awesome, and you know that they're gonna do the job right. So for something like this is why I brought my car here. This is why they did my crank hub. I wouldn't have anybody else do it. Hey, and also a huge shout out to Kies Motorsports and Mosselman turbo systems. You know, you have a lot of choice in big turbo upgrades and what you could put on your BMW, but Mosselman is really fantastic. I really believe in their company and the quality of their products, and their turbos look great, and I cannot wait to see the results once I get my tune fine dialed in on the dyno, which is going to be awesome. Thank you to Kies Motorsports. They were the source of this. I got my turbos through Kies Motorsports, and I recommend you do the same. They are a fantastic company with great people, and tell Brian, the owner, hello from me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a great time with this. I certainly have. I've got a ton of projects coming this year, so please make sure to click subscribe and the little alarm bell. It makes a huge difference to my channel, and I'll see you on my next video.